Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brady Vini of the Steel City Sports Report. Welcome. We talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates here on this channel. Gonna try my best to be a distraction and a commercial break from the real world here, just for a little bit today. Still a good bit to talk about in the Pittsburgh sports world. Mainly today, I know we're in the middle of football season right now, Pittsburgh Steelers and whatnot, but the big story, we covered it a little bit yesterday. Sidney Crosby, or more appropriately, his agent, Pat Brisson, stirring and dumping gasoline on the little fire that is Crosby potentially being traded out of Pittsburgh sometime in the not too distant future. We will start off today's program with that here in a matter of moments when you have such a massive story about one of Pittsburgh's greatest sports icons. You are going to talk about it. Also, we will talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had their first practice in preparation for the Seattle Seahawks today. Got our first look at Jabril Peppers in the black and gold. What did he have to say, along with a couple of other Steelers players and who all did and did not practice today? We will talk about after Sidney Crosby. We will then hit real quick on the Pittsburgh Pirates. They, in true Pirates fashion, getting walked off last night by the Baltimore Orioles. And then we will wrap up the show talking about any loose end stories related to Pittsburgh sports. First thing is first, if you're new here to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, if you would, please hit the like button on this live stream. Share this live stream so we can build more viewership here on the channel. And leave a comment in the comment section, any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have. Get those in there. I can pop those up on screen at a moment's notice, and we can interact that way. Also, would appreciate it if you gave the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Gonna try to move through things quite quickly on a day like today. We are going to start off kind of where we picked up yesterday, and that is the Sidney Crosby trade rumors. If you have not heard about this yet, the NHL just had their media day where all top players are out in Las Vegas and they shoot a ton of different content for the upcoming NHL season. Sidney Crosby was out there, as well as his agent, Pat Brisson, and the quote from Pat Brisson that he gave NHL Insider for TSN, pretty much the Adam Schefter of the hockey world. Pat Brisson, Sidney Crosby's agent, telling LeBrun on Crosby possibly leaving Pittsburgh, quote, "It's always a possibility, It's been 3 years Pittsburgh hasn't made the playoffs. It all depends on how Sid is going to be and how the team is going to do. I believe that Sid should be playing playoff hockey every year." Then Pierre LeBrun added in a few quotes from Sidney Crosby. Crosby said some things along the lines, talking verbatim here, that that's the unfortunate part of losing. All of these sometimes baseless rumors that come out. But one destination that Crosby said could be worse of teams interested in him, his kind of close as you possibly can to a hometown team in the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens, and I think also the Colorado Avalanche with Crosby's good buddy Nathan MacKinnon. Those two teams, they are always at the top of the list when it comes to the probability of landing spots for Sidney Crosby if he were to get traded in the future. We do have some more things to talk about on this Sidney Crosby front here today. Frank Saravalli, another NHL insider, said that there is zero doubt that the Montreal Canadiens, who I just mentioned, would do anything to get their hands on Sidney Crosby. But Saravalli added, the Penguins are in a spot where they're not going to approach their captain about any sort of trade. It's going to be up to Crosby. Then, with all this going on, Saravalli mentioning that, TSN, they have lost their minds. Like, Canada or hockey is their sport. TSN is Canadians, ESPN. They are blowing out of proportion this whole Sidney Crosby story, so much to the point that they are starting to put together trade packages. One of which I saw was Crosby going to the Canadians for young Russian prospect winger, or not a prospect, young Russian winger, Ivan Demidov. And they are saying that that is a 1-for-1 trade offer. And not only that, but their, analysts and talk hosts there were saying stuff along the lines of, is this a hypothetical Crosby for Demidov that would be worth it for the Canadians? And I just wanted to point that out there and laugh, because this is, I mean, sure, yeah, the Pens are totally going to accept that. Let's get, I'm no disrespect here to Ivan Demidov, Russian player, just came over, I think, last year. He's got a bright future in the NHL ahead of him, but just already putting together trade packages and starting that low, saying 1-for-1 Crosby for this young guy. I get it. Sid's not in his prime anymore, even though he can turn it on when he wants to at a moment's notice. But if I'm trading a player that is that accomplished, no matter how old they are, a player like Ivan Demidov, that is just a starting point. You're probably looking at maybe a top player like that, with also probably, their top prospect. I know the Canadians, they are loaded with young prospects. And then you got to, add in, I'm sure, some draft pick compensation along with it. So just thought that was crazy at TSN brought that up. That'd be like saying, oh, let's have the San Jose Sharks trade Macklin Celebrini for Alexander Ovechkin. Just a 1-for-1 trade that is pretty much impossible to happen. Some more on this Sidney Crosby trade rumors on the Sick podcast with Tony Marinaro. I probably butchered his last name. Sorry, Tony. Pierre Maguire, former NHL in between the glass, I guess, rinkside broadcaster, worked for a whole bunch of different promotions and networks back in the day. He, on this podcast, said that he would not have said this unless he felt strongly that this could happen, talking about what Pat Brisson said, saying that Brisson would not have said that that Crosby could be traded if he didn't feel that it could happen. And also, another thing is that, Brisson, I think he's been Sid's agent forever. I think that Brisson wouldn't say that unless, Sid knew he was going to say that. So that's a little bit crazy to me. Pierre Maguire, by the way, I was saving this for the extra Pittsburgh sports portion of the show. He is joining the Penguins radio network. We'll be working with former play-by-play man Paul Steigerwald and Brian Metzger for pre- and post-game coverage. He will appear on 41 games this season, along with select episodes of Penguins Live Weekly. So one of the all-time greats. Controversial, I think, Pens fans are kind of split on him. But Pierre Maguire, he is a very recognizable face and voice in the hockey world, and now he is exclusively joining the Penguins. Just wrapping up here, talking about this Sidney Crosby news. Like I said, just going to move quickly through everything today. Crosby, or Rob Rossi, who has covered the Penguins for a while on the beat, said that Sidney Crosby has spoken for himself. He repeatedly said publicly that he wants to play only for the Penguins. Absolutely true. Even goes back just a little bit earlier this summer. Crosby and Brisson both said that, Sid is a Penguin lifer, and, it's going to take a lot for that to possibly change. Rossi added, until he says otherwise, he never hinted that he's eyeing another situation. I'd recommend be leaving him. I do agree with Rossi there. Forever up until, yesterday, there's never been a single doubt in any of our minds that Crosby would retire a Penguin. So I'm still, very skeptical. I still think in the end he will retire in the black and gold, a one jersey guy. And this Rob Rossi quote here, talking about trusting Sid in that he has never hinted eyeing up another team. That and an interesting take on 93.7 The Fan today from afternoon show host Joe Starkey got me thinking. Joe mentioned something along the lines of this. Could there be a plan behind Crosby and his agent Pat Brisson having this quote out there that Crosby could possibly be traded? And I was wondering, what could that plan possibly be? And Starkey brought this up. Could this be a power move by Sid to maybe influence Fenway Sports Group to sell the team back to Mario Lemieux and Ron Burkle and David Morehouse in that group who once owned the Pens before? I see it. I honestly could kind of believe it. Sid, he's very aware of things that are going on around him. I believe that, he buys in to this idea from Kyle Dubas of tearing down the Pens a little bit and rebuilding it, going and tanking for Gavin McKenna. But I also believe that he sees around him Fenway Sports Group coming in and this all of a sudden family-friendly environment, kind of like a family business back when Lemieux owned it, now become a black and white suit and tie sort of, organization. It's run like a money business instead of a hockey team anymore. FSG pushed Mario out. That's also when you saw the downfall of the team. Tons of different players that Sid liked and play with and respected were getting traded away. There were bad moves by the previous general manager and president of hockey operations regime. So I think that did a real number on Sid. And the reason why I say that he could be having this out there, him and his agent, is because Fenway looking to sell the team again. The top group looking to buy the Pens right now, the Hoffman family, which still the Hoffman family, don't know too much about them. We do know that they are a family-ish run group. I think it was started by one Hoffman, who was the father, and now his sons co-own the company. They're in 200 different countries 200 different companies all around the world. And they also are at least a little bit experienced with hockey, owning the ECHL Florida Everblades. But if I'm Sid, even if the Hoffman group, the Hoffman family, would be better owners than FSG, which I think they have a low bar to clear, does Sid really want to go through another situation where, new owners are coming in, I gotta come in over here and get a feel for them and build that, figure out where their heads are at? I don't think he wants that. I think if the Pens are going to get sold, he wants it to be a familiar situation. So him putting this out there, him and his agent, I wonder if that's a power play by move, because let's admit it. The Pittsburgh Penguins with Sidney Crosby, even though he might be here for only another, 2-3 years, if that, they are worth, the Penguins, a ton more than the Penguins without Sidney Crosby. And the Hoffman family, they are willing to pony up the money to reach Fenway Sports Group price of, I think, over $1 billion or something like that. So I wonder if that's Sid saying, hey, if you sell that, this could be, a thing where Sid might not want to go through the headache of getting to know and fit into the plans of new owners and would rather just go to another and better contending place in the immediate. Or he could say, I'll stay, but I'm going to, threaten to leave. So that'll lower FSG's price down. Then the Lemieux and that can get back into it and buy the Pens back. Then Sid will stay. So pretty much that's what I'm getting at here. It could be a simple case with Sid where, hey, nothing against these guys here, this new Hoffman family looking to buy the team. If they come in, I'm not going to really have the energy to keep going through this rebuild while learning the new ownership group. Trade me away to at least a contending team. So I'll still have to adapt to a new situation, but at least I'll be contending for Stanley Cup still. However, if you lower your price, sell it back to the Lemieux, I'll then stay. And you can still get enough money to where you make a profit, FSG. And I can stay. I got familiar faces coming in, and that'll be it. So I wonder if that's where Sid is right now. Still, just, wrapping up talking about this, I think that Crosby is still going to retire a Penguin. I think it will take a lot to go wrong for this to become a reality, him getting traded away. But if he does get traded away, it's going to be really hard on us Penguins fans, honestly. You saw him as the second savior of the city. Lemieux legitimately saved the team from moving, but then Crosby took it to unimaginable heights that we have been blessed and spoiled with. So that's the latest on the Sidney Crosby trade rumors. Could, maybe have that little voice in his head saying, hey, you don't have much time left. You went and competed in the Four Nations face-off and won that with Team Canada. That was as close as you've been to real high-stakes hockey in quite some time, and probably will remain that way for the next couple of years. Why not, have that feeling again with another team? Or Sid, could be playing FSG here, threatening to leave so that the price tag on the Penguins organization can be lowered, and that the Lemieux and the Lemieux, Burkle, Morehouse group can slide back in and buy the Penguins at a more reasonable price. Gonna keep things moving along here real quick to the comment section. Derpy Entertainment, welcome back, Derpy. What? We are not trading Crosby? I hope not. I think that is going to be the case. At least not right now. I do not see any which way that Crosby gets moved at all this season. A trade of that magnitude, that is not a trade that you make at the deadline. That is an off-season type of deal where you have, not a, ticking time on a deal. So I think you will see Crosby play this whole season in the black and gold. There's going to be no threat or issue of him leaving there, but we'll reevaluate it then if Sale, which we haven't heard much of it in recent weeks. Last we knew is that the Hoffmans were close to getting a deal done. If that deal does get done, then maybe we'll revisit this conversation, but we'll see. Still not going to think too much about it. I've given it way more time talking about it here than I actually need it to be. So moving on here, now back into some more realistic and concrete football talk. Pittsburgh Steelers 1-0 in heading into their Week 2 matchup at home against the Seattle Seahawks. They today began practicing in preparation for the Seattle Seahawks. Before we get into what went down at practice today and what players we heard from, did hear a series of roster moves that the Steelers made today. They officially announced the signing veteran, 9-year veteran, very physical safety, going to come down and help stop the run, sort of fill that Deshaun Elliott role. I said it last night. I'll say it again. I absolutely love that signing and think that he could help out the team the rest of the year. Also, the Steelers today, no more practice squad for James Pierre. He is signed to the active roster, so there will be no more exposing him to other teams on the practice squad and then elevating him for game days. He is officially back on the 53-man roster. In addition to that, quarterback Logan Woodside was with the team. I think they brought him in midway through training camp when Will Howard suffered his hand injury. Logan Woodside is back with the team on the practice squad. The reason why he is back on the practice squad and James Pierre is on the active roster, linebacker Malik Harrison, who on Sunday against the Jets, he's an inside linebacker, but he was playing some outside linebacker in place of Nick Herbig. Malik Harrison with a knee injury, and quarterback Skylar Thompson, who was put on the injury report on last Friday with a hamstring injury. Those two gentlemen going to injured reserve, so they are going to be out for a little bit. They're going to be out for a little while. On to practice itself. We did get to see our first look at Jabril Peppers in the black and gold, so he is officially in Pittsburgh, practicing with the team, getting ready and getting up to speed with the defense ahead of Sunday's game against the Seahawks. The practice report, the injury report today, this just came out right before I went live. We had 5 did not practices on the schedule here today. Joey Porter Jr. still dealing with a hamstring injury, was, thought to be something minor, that he did not finish the game on Sunday against the Jets. He did not practice today. Deshaun Elliott, who's already been ruled out this week with a knee injury, he did not practice. Expect the same thing throughout the week. Calvin Anderson, backup offensive tackle, he did not practice today with an illness. TJ Watt, he did not practice today. Nothing injury related there. He is just resting. Same thing for Cam Hayward. He was a light participant, but he was resting as well. And the final did not practice today for the black and gold. Derek Harmon, he too, like Deshaun Elliott, not playing this weekend, still recovering from that knee sprain that he had back in the final preseason game. The last name mentioned on the Steelers injury report for practice today, outside linebacker Nick Herbig, a light participant like he was all last week with a hamstring injury. Still belief, though, that he will be good to go on Sunday. Mike Tomlin said that he and Joey Porter Jr. Looking promising to be ready for the home opener on Sunday. Into the locker room, did hear from a couple of Steelers players today, including the new Steeler, Jabril Peppers. He spoke with the media, said, things happen. Sometimes it's just a business, him getting cut from the New England Patriots, but he was happy to land here in Pittsburgh. His exact quote here, I'm excited to join the family and help this team in any way I can. Can't wait to see how it looks. Also, Peppers said that he did have a couple of other options out there on the table when he was cut by the Patriots, none of which I think influenced him to sign earlier. But when it came to Mike Tomlin calling him, he said that he could not say no to the opportunity. So Mike Tomlin and his relationship with players all around the NFL coming into effect once again. A couple other Steelers spoke as well here, wrapping the Steelers practice report for today up. Aaron Rodgers spoke with the media, did take a little bit of heat off of his offensive lineman, I think, here. He said that he wasn't moving as well as he wanted to on Sunday against the Jets. He was dealing with some back tightness, saying that those might have been a result or a reason why he got sacked so many times. So Rodgers dealing with some back tightness. I hope that was, that first off isn't something that is, going to linger, throughout the remainder of the season. And I hope that the Steelers offensive line can keep him upright better. Last Steeler we heard from today, left tackle Broderick Jones. He, from every single angle, has been taking a ton of criticism here today, or, since Sunday. Was asked what he needs to do better than he did in week 1. Bluntly, everything was his answer. Can't say that he's wrong. So hopefully much brighter days ahead for him. And we will see what all goes on, what the practice participation is like moving forward ahead of Sunday's week 1 matchup week 2 matchup, with the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, going to keep things rolling here. 3 of you in here right now. Welcome to the stream. If you're new, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live or upload a video again. Like, share, and comment. Switching gears once again, we started with hockey. We then went into some football. Now we're going to complete the third and final sport that a Pittsburgh sports team plays professionally here, and that is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They last night beginning a 3-game set with the Baltimore Orioles. Just a recap of what went down last night. Top of the first inning, the Bucco Bats, they looked like that they were going to have another successful night at the plate. Got the bases loaded, or runners on first and second with nobody out. Andrew McCutchen driving in a single to right field. That scored Spencer Horwitz from first base. 1-0 Pirates. After that, Bucco's offense pretty much stalled for the remainder of the game. Mike Burrows on the bump for the Pirates to start last night. He pitched 4 innings, gave up just 1 run, walked to 1 batter, but struck out 6. So a nice strikeout total for him there. His slider just absolutely wicked. I think he is going to be a piece of this rotation next year. After him, Braxton Ashcraft came in. He, in bulk relief, went 3 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So that made it between those two, 2-1 for the Orioles. Heading into the bottom of the 9th, and with hope dwindling, Tommy Pham, top of the 9th inning, a solo home run to left field. It was a wall scraper, but hey, it counts on the stat sheet all the same. Pham continues to rake for this ball club. That tied the game up at 2. The ball game then went into extra innings, 11 innings to be precise. The Baltimore Orioles getting the walk-off win last night, and in true strange fashion that kind of fits along with the Buccos, a pop-up to left field near the foul line by their young catcher Samuel Basallo. It blooped in. Tommy Pham was diving for it. It was originally called a foul ball, so play on the field had to stop. Then the crew chiefs reviewed it. It was a fair ball. Orioles walk it off. The Pirates had no chance to compete or combat that at all. So bit of a anticlimactic win for the Orioles and loss for the Buccos, but are we really surprised by that? Anyways, looking ahead to tonight's ball game, game 2 of this series with the O's. Similar lineup to what we saw last night. Jared Triolo, Spencer Horwitz, Brian Reynolds, Tommy Pham at the top of the order. Then we get some changes. An off night for Andrew McCutchen. O'Neal Cruz bats 5th and is in center field. Nick York getting in there tonight at second base. Cam Devaney all the way up at the 7th spot. Different place in the order for him. Besides being at the bottom of the lineup, he bats 7th and is at third base. Back in the big leagues, I think I mentioned that he got recalled yesterday. Ji-Hwan Bae in left field tonight, and rounding out the lineup, batting 9th and catching, Henry Davis. Paul Skeens and his amazing 1.97 ERA, the lowest ERA ever by a starting pitcher in their first 52 career starts. He is on the bump tonight. That game is scheduled to start, I think, here within the next 15 minutes. So be sure to tune in and watch the amazing Paul Skeens go against this Baltimore Orioles lineup tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. We are going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the day here in a matter of moments. Real quick, let's go here and scroll through Twitter, or what's left at Twitter at this point, and see if there's any new news before we move on. Bit of a conflicting report here. I mentioned that the Steelers injury report earlier had Cam Hayward listed as a limited participant. Some other beat writers for the Steelers here listing Hayward as a did not participate. Either way, no, nothing to worry about there. Cam and TJ taking off days. You'll see them do a bunch of that throughout the season. Not seeing too much else here. So we are, ladies and gentlemen, now going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here of the day. Let's go back into football here for a second. More specifically, let's rewind just maybe this is the last time to last Sunday's game, Steelers and Jets, and a performance in that game earned NFL Weekly honors. Chris Boswell, kicker for the Steelers, won Player of the Week as an AFC special teamer. 2 for 2 on field goals, one from 56, one from 60-yarder, one from 60 yards. That 60-yarder, the game-winning field goal. He was also 4 for 4 on extra point attempts. Anytime you kick a 60-yard field goal from literally the midfield logo, and it looks like it could have been good from an extra 10 yards, I don't know anything much more that can earn you AFC Special Teams Player of the Week over that. So congratulations to Boz there. Boz, by the way, remember Mike Tomlin referring to him as a serial killer, might have ended the career of a player. The Jets today cutting their wide receiver / kick returner Xavier Gipson. If that name rings a bell to you, he was the return man for the Jets on kickoffs and punts on Sunday's game, and he fumbled. Kenneth Gainwell knocking the ball loose from him, so he loses the fumble. That costs his team points. His head coach, Aaron Glenn, after the game on Sunday said, "We cannot have turnovers. You will not be on the field with this team if you're going to cause us to lose games." I think we know that he was sending a very strong message to Gibson directly there, and now he is off the team. Last to mention here, hopefully, of Sunday's game, Ben Roethlisberger on his podcast, not just Footballin', excuse me. I always get his and Cam Hayward's podcasts confused. Roethlisberger on his Footballin' podcast said that he believes Aaron Rodgers still has it. Quote, "I'm very encouraged by the way Aaron played. My concern is going to be moving forward. Can Aaron take a beating like that every week? Not at that age. If that doesn't improve, we're not going to have a quarterback very long, and it's going to be a rough season." But he said very encouraged by Rodgers' play, as we all should be. I mean, we all knew that Rodgers was most likely going to be the best quarterback that we have seen here in Pittsburgh since Ben. And we were expecting, a tiny bit of a slog from the offense on Sunday, but still, better than what we've seen in the past. Not that, though. 4 touchdowns, looking like vintage 4-time MVP Rodgers. Very encouraging moving forward. Let's see if they can keep him upright in that. If he can continue that against another good pass rush and defensive back group on Sunday against the Seahawks. Steelers, by the way, on the NFL's weekly power rankings, the black and gold coming in at number 16. So middle of the pack right now. I think they could have been higher, but I mean, hey, you scored a lot of points, but you also gave up a ton of points. A couple last stories here relating to the black and gold, the Steelers here today. According to Easton Butler, he covers the Packers, does some draft work on them. He says that several teams have called the Green Bay Packers asking them about the availability of one of their wide receivers, Romeo Doubs. Butler, not sure about his about the credibility of him, but I'm going to run with it here. He says that at least 2 teams have offers on the table. Wonder who one of those 2 teams could be. I don't think we have to take a wild guess here. Even though the Steelers say they like their wide receiver room, they really have been acting a ton like they really want to add to that room. Pretty sure they're in on Tyreek Hill. Now, pretty sure they're in on Romeo Doubs. They were in on Jacoby Myers and Gabe Davis and a whole bunch of other guys. So, wide receiver, even though the season has started and even though, Calvin Austin looked good in the first game of the year, still, they might add a wide receiver before not too long. Last couple of stories here on the Steelers here today. CBS came out with a way early week 1 mock draft for the 2026 NFL draft. I want to say someone else did this too. Might have been someone for Fox Sports or something like that. But anyways, in whichever mock draft I mentioned on here in the past, they had the Steelers picking 16th and taking Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback from LSU. Here in CBS's week 1 mock draft, similar mindset. They have the Steelers picking 14th overall and going down this path again, Drew Aller, quarterback from Penn State. So another local college kid coming into Pittsburgh. Still have some questions about Aller. Penn State so far this college football season, they have played pushover opponents. Yeah, we'll see if that ends up being the case. Could be a possibility, but that would be very interesting if Aller were to become a Steeler. Last Steeler story here for the day. This from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. He recently coming out with some details on Cam Hayward and his incentives. These incentives are not entirely built around what the Steelers do in the playoffs. They still mention the playoffs, but it is interesting here. Cam Hayward, we mentioned it's a $3.2 million revised contract, $3.2 million added onto his contract, and the incentives are relating to playoffs. Hayward will get $1.6 million, so half of that, if he has 8 sacks this season, and if the Steelers make the playoffs. He will earn another $1.6 million if he has 11.5 sacks this season, and the Steelers win a playoff game. So Hayward, in his $3.2 million incentives, I think if he, plays better than he did in week 1, and the Steelers continue playing how they played, at least on offense, for the rest of the season like they did on Sunday, I think he can, not easily, but it is very achievable, getting 8 sacks and the Steelers making the playoffs. However, I do like that $1.6 million to get 11.5 sacks and win a playoff game. That is really going to make Cam sing for his supper. So that is the latest on some Pittsburgh Steelers news. Switching back into hockey here for a quick moment as we look to wrap things up here today. The Penguins continuing informal skates at the UPMC Lemieux Sports Complex. Saw the likes of Brian Rust, newly free agent signee for the Penguins, Anthony Mantha, and we're going to soak up every single picture that we can get of him. Evgeny Malkin is in Pittsburgh practicing ahead of this upcoming season. Speaking of the Penguins, they today releasing the roster that they will be sending to Buffalo for the Prospects Challenge. If you do not know what that is, every single year. This year it is starting tomorrow, September 11th, and it goes through the 15th. The Penguins, Buffalo Sabres, New Jersey Devils, Columbus Blue Jackets, and Boston Bruins, they all send a majority of their top prospects up to Buffalo, and they will scrimmage in tournaments up there. So we will keep a little bit of track on that. Some of the notable names on the roster here for the Penguins in this Prospect Challenge. Tristan Brose had a solid year with the AHL Penguins last year. You could see him in the NHL at some point this season. Ville Koivunen, a key piece that came back in the Jake Gensel trade from a couple years ago, and he had a very promising start to his NHL career in the second half of the season last year. A couple other ones here. Ben Kindle, first round pick this year. I think he was 11th overall, if I'm not mistaken, for the Penguins. So we will see the top pick from the Pens this year, Ben Kindle, out there. On defense, Owen Pickering, looking forward to seeing him bounce back and maybe solidify a spot for himself in the NHL this year. Same thing with Harrison Brunick. I think that kid has got a damn bright future ahead of him, even possibly as a heir to Chris Letang's spot in the future. Really impressed by what I've seen from him in his young hockey career. And just 2 goalies going up to the Prospect Challenge. Gabriel Daigle, who was a mid-round pick by the Pens this year, and also possible future netminder for the Steelers, or for the Penguins, Sergei Murashov. Very impressive young Russian goaltender who just was lights out in the ECHL and then also fared pretty well in the AHL. Might see him at some point in the NHL this upcoming season. Couple names that I did not mention there. Kyle Dubas did put out there that we will not see Rucker McGroarty, Bill Zonan, or Peyton Kettles in this Prospect Challenge due to injury. He will provide updates on them before training camp. Would have liked to see those 3 guys, all of them high pedigree. McGroarty probably going to make this team and get a solid shot in the top 6 this upcoming season. And then Bill Zonan and Peyton Kettles, 2 high draft picks for the Pens. So hopefully we will get positive updates on their injury statuses in the not-too-distant future. Last sports news story here for the day, and it relates to baseball. It's not even Pirates-related here. Today, after 14 seasons, a big Pirate abuser during his time with the Chicago Cubs, Anthony Rizzo, announced his retirement from Major League Baseball. Congratulations on a stellar career, Rizzo. Don't appreciate you and the Cubs owning the Pirates for a majority of my lifetime thus far. But, still, game recognized game. Congratulations on a solid big league career, and best of luck in retirement. Oops, tuned on my audio there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, gonna take one last scroll here through Twitter before wrapping things up here for the night. Looking and seeing a bunch of the stuff I already saw here. There will be, I'm sure, some more news coming out in recent days leading up to the Steelers and Seahawks. We'll also do some light coverage of the Pens Prospect Challenge and also keep an eye on what the Pens are doing in Baltimore. So all 3 Pittsburgh sports teams for at least the next, week or so, they're going to be in action and we're going to have stuff to talk about them. What a crazy time. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that brings an end to our time here this evening. And I want to get real for a second. I have been, waffling, going back and forth on whether I should talk about this or not, but I think I'd be doing a disservice if I did not. Today, you can probably tell by my tone, I've been trying my best to be a distraction or a change of pace guy, not just for you, but for myself with what happened today, and now I will acknowledge it. I do my very best to keep this channel in this environment focused and centered around sports and away from politics, but today, tragedy struck out in Utah. Political influencer and icon Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. This just makes me sick to my stomach personally, and it hits hard, for me, because he was one of very few political personalities that resonated with my generation. And also, he was a rare breed of political personalities nowadays. He was a man who would rather sit down with you, have a healthy debate with you, and try to solve issues in a respectable and civil manner instead of what tends to happen more and more nowadays, result to screaming and getting violent with each other. he, in my opinion, was a pioneer and was a critical piece of shaping the future of this country. And now he's unfortunately gone and will be greatly missed, and history has been changed forever here today. I do want to say, regardless of how you feel about his political views, I don't care who you are, what you look like, what you believe in, what religion you follow. He was a great and loving and caring human being, just like you and I. We as a society need to realize that more. Even though he continued doing what he felt he was destined to do, relating to this young generation, looking, towards the future and towards a better future for all of us. And he accepted the major risks that came, along with it. He did not deserve what happened to him today whatsoever. There is no place or reason for things like this to ever happen. Political violence like this, it is getting out of control, and it is sad that we have come to this, to where at the smallest disagreements that we now have to, do stuff like this. And that's just wrong. It's morally unjust. I hope whoever did this to Charlie gets swiftly brought to justice. And I just want to throw this out there. I might catch flack for this. I don't know, nor do I really care. Whether you are watching this right now, or you come across it later, if you are a person out there who is celebrating this, or condoning this, or not, celebrating this, happy that this happened, have prayed for this, I try to keep this PG here on the channel, but not this time. You're a piece of shit if you think that what happened to Charlie today was right. And with all, that has happened, I have seen the videos of people out there celebrating this. Go screw yourself. Seriously. Absolutely ridiculous. If you believe that what happened to him, the young Ukrainian woman, the school shooting that happened today, what happened, within the past couple of weeks, if you believe any of that was right, you're a disgusting person. And I hope that you find peace with God and all that, because if you believe in that stuff, I feel sorry for you more than anything else, because that's what, Charlie felt as well. Hoping that we all can see past our differences and come together for the betterment of the future. Yeah, so I don't want to get too further deep into this. So lastly, I do want to say I send my thoughts and prayers to his wife, his 2 children, and the rest of Charlie's family, friends, and fans out there. With all that being said, still, kind of hits hard for me here. Do want to let you know, no SCSR60 tonight. That will not be going down this evening. Also, as of right now, assuming that there isn't any sort of major breaking sports news coming tomorrow, there is no plans for any sort of content on the channel. Instead, trying to, look back at a time when us as a society were truly united for once. Tomorrow should be reserved exclusively for a day of remembrance in never forgetting 9/11. So with all that said, thank you for joining me today. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers with his family. We remember, and we remember the losses of that tragic event on 9/11 tomorrow. And then we will be back here on Friday with another live stream. By then, I'm sure we will have a final injury report ahead of Steelers Seahawks, and then we'll have a ton more to talk about then as well. So thank you all. Have a good rest of your night. That is all I have to say. Peace out. See you back here on Friday. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications, all that good stuff. Peace.